Hello, my nap fam. It's your girl T, aka the Nappy Head Jojoba, with my first ever installment of She Tried It. This is going to be a series and not a one-off, hopefully, wherein I test drive a fitness program, sometimes possibly a nutrition program, although I haven't had the best luck with those, so probably more fitness. And it's always going to be a program from an influencer type, a YouTube personality, an Instagram personality, because I feel like there's just so many of these programs coming out and being promoted, and some people seem qualified to do them and some definitely don't. And every once in a while one comes along that tickles my pickle, whether it's because of the way the program is described or because of the personality associated with it, or both. And I wanted to test drive the Peach Plan 2 by Meggan Grubb. Meggan is a UK based Instagram and YouTube personality. She does sort of day in the life, what I eat in a day style vlogs. She takes you to the gym with her, and I think she's basically known for her ass. And if you've seen it, you'll probably agree it's worth knowing. It's pretty legendary. I'm not entirely sure when she launched the first Peach Plan, which was initially just a set of lower body workouts, but following that she launched the Peach Plan upper body, and then after those two she launched the Peach Plan 2, which is considered advanced, and it contains both lower and upper body workouts. I believe the Peach Plan 2 launched in January of 2018, but I'm not 100% certain on that, so don't quote me. This is the description of the Peach Plan 2 in Meggan's own words on her website. The Peach Plan 2 is the first advanced workout program I have released for all of you who have been training for a while or completed the Peach Plan Originals and want something for the next stage. This features more difficult exercises, advanced training systems, and circuits to push your body harder and for more results. And the price of the Peach Plan 2 is £38. After conversion, I wound up paying $52.21 in American dollars. And one thing you might want to take into consideration is foreign transaction fees. I used a card that doesn't charge me foreign transaction fees because I didn't want to pay them, and she does take PayPal on her website. The Peach Plan 2 is broken up into two phases. Phase 1 has a total of 8 workouts, 4 lower body and 4 upper body, and then Phase 2 has 9 workouts, 5 lower body and 4 upper body. Phase 1, it's basically lower body and upper body more generally, and in Phase 2, she gets a little bit more targeted with the workouts wherein instead of just being upper body, you have a back day, a delts day, a chest day, and so on. The Phase 1 workouts are all, I think, 5 movements per workout in the 8 to 12 rep range, 3 to 4 sets of each of those movements. Whereas in Phase 2, you typically have more like 7 to 8 movements, still in the 8 to 12 rep range for most movements, but typically 4 to 5 sets. The only notable exceptions are the final 2 workouts in Phase 2. For whatever reason, workouts 8 and 9 are shorter and much more similar to the workouts in Phase 1. On average, the upper body workouts took me anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes maximum, and that includes in Phase 2. Whereas with the lower body workouts, it took me around 45 to an hour for Phase 1 and well over an hour fairly consistently for the workouts in Phase 2. The leg workouts in Phase 2, it is something that you need to keep in mind in terms of budgeting your time, because I think all of the workouts in Phase 2, except for the last one, workout 9, took me well over an hour, probably closer to an hour and a half to complete. The workouts are designed to be done over the course of 8 weeks. The general guideline she gives you is doing Phase 1 for about 3 weeks, and then the workouts in Phase 2 for about 5 weeks for an 8-week program total. I did the program over the course of 1 month, and I've tried every single workout in the program, so I feel like I can give you guys a pretty informed assessment of what I like about it and what I don't like about it. I do have some clips of me doing the final leg workout from Phase 2, which I just did yesterday, and y'all better not make fun of my Miss Sealy braids and rollers in my hair because I still had them in from wash day, and I was not planning to film that workout. I just figured I may as well cut the camera on and get some B-roll for you guys. And I also have some footage from the final upper body workout, which is a chest workout, which I just did this morning, and yeah, I still look raggedy in those clips too. Let's go through pros, then I'll go through some cons and just miscellaneous thoughts. The first pro is that this program is very adaptable. She gives you her outline to do Phase 1 for 3 weeks and Phase 2 over the course of 5 weeks, but really, you can do it however you like, which is how I ended up doing it. I mean, I only did the program for 4 weeks. And it is set up in a way that you can really kind of do it however you would like to do it. An important thing for me to mention was that I did this program at home. I did not have access to a gym whilst I was doing it. So all my opinions come from the perspective of doing it as a home program. And one pro is that I did find it to be mostly adaptable for home use. However, I say that with the caveat that I've got way more home equipment than the average person does. When I first started working out, like generally in my life, I started working out at home. And I was a home exerciser for many years. I do tend to go to a CrossFit style gym to work out nowadays, but I put my membership on hold because this program is clearly sort of a gym style, a traditional gym style, bodybuilding really style of working out. And it incorporated equipment that I knew I wouldn't have access to at my gym anyway, so I didn't see much value in continuing to pay that membership when it wouldn't really be helping me complete this program. So I don't know how adaptable the program as a whole would be for someone who doesn't have quite an extensive amount of equipment at home. I mean, I have a barbell, I have a power tower, which is my pull-up bar, which I made into a makeshift squat rack. Ideally, you would need an actual squat rack because that's not something that I would recommend. I was doing that at my own risk. You need some dumbbells, you need resistance bands, a bench is pretty necessary. Certain moves were harder to adapt for home use than others. You'll see in this upper body workout, I had to change this cable fly. It was a cable chest fly where you were supposed to basically use one cable on each side of the cable machine. Obviously, I don't have a cable machine, so I just used a resistance band and I had to do the movement unilaterally instead, one side at a time, with the door attachment for my resistance band. The only thing that I really failed at adapting was anything that involved the leg press machine when that came up. I just was never able to figure out a good way to modify a leg press. I tried, attaching resistance bands underneath a bench. There was just no good way to simulate a leg press machine. So those were the exercises I dreaded the most because I felt like I was missing out on a movement I was supposed to be doing that day because every attempt I had to replicate it was just completely a waste of time. It was not challenging at all. But for movements involving a cable machine or a Smith machine, I basically just use a resistance band typically in the case of cable machines, or in the case of a Smith machine, I just used my bar and had to fucking be brave. As someone working out at home, safety was a bigger consideration because if I drop my bar on my fucking head, there isn't really going to be anyone there to call the ambulance for me. I certainly don't think Ray Ray's going to. So that definitely was something I had to keep in mind with pretty much any movement involving getting my bar higher than a deadlift. I had to be pretty careful, and again, that's just something to keep in mind where if you're going to try to adapt this for home use and you want to lift heavy, do so within reason. You could probably get away with cherry picking some of the workouts from the program and just making them perfectly suitable for home use with just a few dumbbells. Like, I know there's one workout, perhaps the very first workout in phase 1 for the lower body that's all dumbbells. So you could totally do workouts like that at home and not have to worry about having a lot of equipment or getting very creative with adapting / modifying the movements. But I would say that most of the workouts do require more equipment than the average person will have. Another pro is that I think she structured the program in a very smart way. The phase 1 workouts are a lot more simple movements and more straightforward. I say simple, but not easy. She's not reinventing the wheel by any stretch of the imagination. These are all movements that you've probably seen before if you have any history of exercise. Squats, lunges, hip thrusts, things of this nature. But I like that the workouts in phase 1 are particularly less involved in terms of making tweaks to these movements to make them a little bit more advanced because it allows you to get more dialed in and focus on your form and really establish that mind-body connection, which is critical for this program. Speaking of the mind-body connection, she includes some glute activation movements that she suggests you throw in before any of the lower body workouts to basically wake your booty up. She gives you, I believe, 5 different movements and suggests picking 2 to 3 and doing 3 sets of each for a minute. before you start your leg workout. And I found that even though this was something that I was aware of before, I've been aware of glute activation prior to actually starting your workout. It's not something I'd ever tried before, but because she recommended it and included it in this program, I tried it, and I found that it was a real game changer. It really helped me to establish that connection from my head to my ass. If I'm fatigued during a workout or just tuned out and more focused on thinking about other things or even just listening to the song that's playing, I can often forget what muscles I'm trying to target with the movement. So even before doing this program, there have been many times where I'll be doing a glute movement and I'll have to tell myself in my head, use your ass, use your ass, use your ass, because I need to remind myself to use my ass. Especially when it comes to leg dominant movements like squats, it's easy to almost not use your ass at all. So I love that she wrote glute activation movements into the program because I feel like it made a world of difference in terms of getting those glutes activated, turned on, and ready for the exercises that follow so that you're already primed and realizing, oh, I need to use my ass. Another pro, and this is more personal than objective, but I feel like I like the program because it felt nice to get back to basics and just lift heavy. Again, this program isn't reinventing the wheel. It's a very traditional style of sequencing in terms of being a gym style split where you're doing 4 sets of 10 or 5 sets of 12 or whatever it is for a series of anywhere from 5 to 8 movements per workout. Another pro is my results. The glutes are an infamously difficult muscle group to train and to grow. Pretty much anyone in the fitness industry can tell you that growing a booty is one of the hardest things to do. It takes a long time and it takes a lot of consistency with actually targeting that muscle group to get significant changes. But I caught a glimpse of my booty in the mirror just the other day, maybe 2 days ago, and I was feeling myself. I haven't experienced any drastic change inside of 1 month, but I would say, considering it's only been 1 month and I can see change, that's pretty impressive. The change is as subtle as the B in the word subtle. You might not even know it's there, but I see it, okay? I see it. When I compare my before and after, and I ain't showing y'all because this ain't that type of channel and I ain't that type of bitch, I can say that I feel that my booty looks rounder. It looks more lifted, you know, the sort of smile under each cheek. I would say that smile is a little bit smaller, so my cheeks are sitting a little higher. And I'd also say my little saddlebags are sitting higher too. So I think there's just been an overall lifting. Like I said, it's only slight because I've only been at this for 4 weeks. But like I was saying also, you know, with the glutes being so infamously difficult to train and knowing that it takes years for people to get a booty like Meggan has, unless you're just genetically blessed like Meggan is, I'm pretty impressed that I was able to achieve that in just 4 weeks. And mind you, this was with me doing approximately 2 of the leg workouts per week. Because I do lift heavy and I do try to hit a fairly high percentage of my 1 rep maxes based on how many reps and sets I have to do, I did find the workouts to be quite taxing. So I know Meggan generally does 3 leg days a week and 2 upper body days. And I think she also tends to do cardio on her upper body days. Regardless, the fact that a mere mortal like me was able to achieve results that at least are perceptible to me and encouraging to me inside of only 4 weeks is a pretty good endorsement of the program, I would say, because, you know, Meggan and Busy Bee Cares, I mean, these girls are just blessed genetically. The booty angels have smiled upon them. Some of us, not so much. Getting into the cons, the first con is that I found the exercise descriptions hard to understand at times. Some of the movements have only 1 image or even no image demonstrating how it's supposed to be done. So you can't see the beginning pose of the movement and the end pose of the movement. There's one that stood out to me that was particularly bad for box jumps. With that one in the guide, it's literally just 2 photos of Meggan midair, just at like slightly different levels in the air. I'm just like, I don't think that's explained. Like, if someone actually didn't know what a box jump was, I don't think this is going to help them. I think that since Meggan is a YouTuber and does make videos, I think it would have been dope if there were video demonstrations of the exercises included somehow, you know, either built into the guide. I don't think you can do that in a PDF because it is just a PDF that you get a link to download after you purchase. But maybe links to some unlisted videos on her YouTube channel or something. I feel like they should have figured out a way to have better demonstrations of some of these movements that are a little bit less straightforward. Most of the movements are straightforward, and as an intermediate to advanced exerciser, I did feel like there wasn't really anything that I hadn't seen before, but There's also different interpretations of how certain movements can be done sometimes, or what people call one movement versus another movement. You know, people have their own peccadillos. And as an anal retentive person, I like to do things exactly as written, especially when I'm doing an experiment like this. So I really just wish there had been complete clarity on all movements throughout the program. Another thing that made it hard to understand some of the movements or see exactly what you were supposed to do is Meggan is wearing a black outfit in all of the photos demonstrating movements. So against black gym benches and black mats, it's really just hard to see what she's doing in some of the photos. If she's leaning against a dark surface in an all black outfit, it was just sometimes hard to see even when the information was there. The next con is that there are your run-of-the-mill typographical errors, grammatical errors, and just sort of inconsistencies with how the workouts are laid out, particularly in phase 2. Once you get to phase 2, she starts incorporating a lot of supersets, which is basically, if you're not familiar, when you do all the reps in a set for one exercise, and then you follow it up immediately with a complementary exercise right after with no rest in between. A very traditional way of supersetting would be to do, 10 reps of a push exercise followed by 10 reps of a pull exercise, and then you rest. In the guide, where she lists all of just the reps, sets, and exercise names at the beginning of each phase for each workout, it's basically just a kind of quick and dirty rundown of what each workout looks like a little box that has all of the movements, the reps, the sets, and the rests. And then following that, she has the pages where she actually goes through the explanations of each movement and has the photos and all of that. Now, in phase 2, where you're doing these supersets, some of them in the quick and dirty guide at the beginning of the phase indicate where the supersets are, and some don't. So if you're referencing only that and not looking at the actual description portion with the photos and the written out sort of paragraphs about how to do each movement, you might not know when you're supposed to be supersetting. In other words, it tells you to superset in one spot for that particular workout, but not necessarily the other. So depending on which you're looking at, you might not realize that you're supposed to be doing supersets for certain movements. This isn't so much a con, but just something to consider, and something that was a con for me personally, and that is that this program and the movements it contains does have the potential to aggravate people with knee issues, possibly lower back issues as well. I have an old knee injury that's usually fine these days, but I did find that there were certain movements that did cause that old injury to start to pipe up and talk to me ever so quietly. So that's just something to consider. I powered through and just kind of dealt with it, but you might, if you have lower back issues or even knee problems, you may have to modify. No modifications or suggestions are given for people who might not be able to squat and lunge and so forth, so that's the only reason I'm including it in the con section. This is another half con, half observation, but I don't think it's realistic to, if you're using this program long term, to grow your booty without also growing your legs. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of squats in this program. I don't really know when the squat myth started. I know that social media has a lot to do with it, but squats are a leg exercise. So while this program does include a lot of exercises and movements that are terrific for growing the glutes and targeting the glutes, I was very surprised to see how squat heavy it was. There are 2 workouts in phase 2 that begin with 5 sets of 10 back squats. This is where the use your ass mind-body connection becomes extremely important, because my personal goal is to not grow my legs at all. I want to grow my booty only. And if you're in a similar situation, you would think that the Peach Plan would be much more targeted to the glutes only, but it really isn't. I would say that it is a lower body focused program rather than a booty only focused program. The booty exercises it does have are pretty good ones: hip thrusts, hip bridges, you've got frog pumps, things like that. So I do think that it has a good amount of attention paid to the booty, but it is really a lower body focused program. The upper body workouts, as I mentioned earlier, seemed to go by a lot faster for me because I had a clock going, so I could see that they were in fact going by faster. And that was really good, especially in phase 2, because one con for me was just that the upper body workouts in phase 2 felt very redundant. I think because they were more focused on targeting specific muscle groups, like she calls it an arms day, but it's really just biceps and triceps. You're not working your delts at all on that day. But it felt like just over and over the same movements, because it kind of was. It was like this version of a bicep curl, this version of a bicep curl, this version of a bicep curl. It It was just a little bit too repetitive for me. And as someone who doesn't enjoy that style of working out, the X reps of X sets, it was already harder for me to kind of get hyped to do these workouts because I like much more dynamic workouts. I like to do my metabolic conditioning. So not my preferred style of working out, which is a personal thing, but I did find that even with not being a fan of this style of workout, the upper body workouts in phase 2 were particularly dull. Miscellaneous things I should mention. Beyond the actual workouts in phase 1 and phase 2, you get those glute activation movements, you get some booty finisher circuits, I believe there are 4 or 5 of those, as well as some mini little cardio circuits, and I think even some ab circuits, which I didn't even touch. So in that sense, you do get a little bit more bang for your buck beyond the 17 workouts that you get that are the actual program itself. I only used the booty finishers on a couple of occasions, again, because I was pushing myself pretty hard in the workouts themselves, and I typically just didn't have more energy to add more things onto the end. But I think that's a good thing because it allows you to grow with the program, and as you get more adapted and advanced at doing the exercises it contains, then you still have room to make it more challenging by adding more stuff into the workouts. She does label this program as advanced, and I think that even though the movements themselves aren't necessarily advanced, especially if you select very light weights for them, the amount of guidance given in how to use the guide to create your own program is pretty minimal. So I think that that was smart to do because for a real beginner, you might not know exactly how to sequence it. I think you could realistically just kind of cycle through the workouts in order of 1 through 8, as you like for phase 1 and then 1 through 9 for phase 2. I think that covers all of my pros, cons, and miscellaneous thoughts. So let's get into my final thoughts on whether I would actually recommend this program. Would I recommend it? I'd say yes if you're interested in it. I do think it's overpriced for what it is. I think that if you're looking for just a pretty solid gym split with a lower body focus and you want to support a YouTuber, because I really like Meggan. I think she's sweet. She seems very just sort of like a good gal, you know what I mean? So I was happy to support her, but I think that objectively looking at the program for what it is, and after thinking about the fact that once converted, I paid about $52 for it, I don't think it's worth quite that much. How you spend your money is up to you. You might think that it's well worth that price, but I thought that it was just a bit steep. I think it's a pretty by-the-book type of lower body focused gym style program, and I think it would be effective for nearly anyone. But because it is just a PDF and it has the various cons I outlined, I think that over $50 American is a steep price. Because it does have those various things you can add on, like the booty activation movements, the HIIT circuits, the booty finisher circuits, the ab circuits, I think it gives you a lot of opportunities to continue to use the program as you become more fit and more strong and tailor it maybe a little bit more to your goals. As far as whether I will continue using the program, the answer is no, simply because of what I alluded to earlier about not being interested in growing my legs. My goal is to maintain the lean mass that I have in my legs because lean mass is a good thing. It helps keep your metabolism high, so that can stick around. But my goal is fat loss and to grow my booty a little bit, lift it a little bit so that I have what I would consider to be a more pleasing booty to leg ratio. And I don't think that the Peach Plan 2 will help me to achieve that goal. I will almost certainly cherry pick movements that I like from this program and perhaps build my own glutes only workouts based on that. But generally speaking, it's too lower body focused rather than butt focused for my goals. Not to mention, I don't want any muscle growth in my upper body at all. I want to be lean, but I feel like I'm already on the cusp of starting to look a bit masculine, so I kind of want to just stay where I am. I don't want any hypertrophy in my upper body whatsoever. A little bit of leaning out will be fine, but I don't want to grow any of these muscles up here. We want to get some fat off of these legs, grow that booty a little bit, and then hopefully we'll be in maintenance mode. We'll see. But I've got a very bizarre body, so I think the fact that it's more balanced for lower body will probably work for most people. It's just not going to work for me. That is it. That will wrap up my thoughts on the Peach Plan 2. I hope this review was helpful because I only was able to find one other review on the Peach Plan 2 in the entirety of YouTube. So hopefully this will be another one that will help people who are considering making a purchase. I already know what I will be doing for the next installment of She Tried It, so be on the lookout for that. I'll let you guys know that soon enough. I came across this plan from a comment from one of you guys. It's based on a YouTuber slash Instagrammer again, and I had actually never heard of her, but one of you guys mentioned her to me and I became obsessed with her channel instantly, and I'm really looking forward to checking out her new program. Anyway, that is it for this video, and that is it for this program, but thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who voted in the poll and pushed things in the direction I was hoping it would go in, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.